Alrighty, what's up, bros? What's up, friends and family? The like 5 to 10 friends and family that watch this and that I talk on the phone with every day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm super popular. I'm super cool. Welcome to Marchese Methods. If you're here from Twitter, welcome. I've been talking to a few people on Twitter lately, so welcome. If you're a seething coping freak from Twitter, welcome. I guess you might get something out of this. Uh, we here talk about ways to keep your eyes on the prize and find your fulfillment. And a lot of that takes the form of understanding the deep psychodynamics within your mind and within your interactions. With that being said, this 75 hard challenge is actually a really good example of this. I was writing on it. Some of you might have seen my article. Some of you might have seen my Instagram stories. Those of you that are my friends and family, because I'm keeping that separate. By the way, I have so many freak stalking me already over like the most mundane political opinions. So I'm keeping that separate. But if you're here from Instagram or Facebook because you're one of my friends or family, you might have seen that I posted the word count on my article. So I was putting a lot of thought into this one because I was just going and going. And this topic, 75 hard, serves as a really good example. Use this as like the ground zero, as like the blueprint of how to understand what's going on in your own mind, what's going on in the minds of others, and how a lot of things just manifest as a crock of shit. So there's that part. I do want to say too, if you're my friend or family member that has done this challenge or has used this 75 hard challenge as a way to bolster your discipline and get yourself working out and all of that, when you do it, it's based in epic and cool and chat and alpha. I just want to put that out there. If you're my friend or family, in no way am I shaming you into oblivion with this. Really, the type of person I'm shaming into oblivion with this 75 hard actually being fucking easy thing is the people who you could just tell they have this air to them that they're using this as a bullshit gimmick or as a bullshit way to, sort of earn their graduate certificate in like bullying. They do the 75 hard. They think they're a member of like the aristocrat class of, epic, sophisticated, disciplined gym people. They only do it for the 75 days, by the way, and they half ass the workouts. And then they go around, start, holding their head up high like they got it all figured out when they don't, especially because 75 hard is actually fucking easy. So that's our intro there. That was a good one, right? Maybe the what's up, bros. Maybe I just got to say what's up, bros. Maybe that's the new intro there. So, all right. So with that being said, let me double check my notes here. Let's go over firstly what is the challenge, right? So especially if you're somebody coming to me kind of earnestly for all sorts of advice and all of that, you're really struggling to figure out what to do with yourself and what to do and how to be, cool, I guess, like me in some way, or alpha, a gym bro. You might have come across 75 hard and you might be enticed by it earnestly. You might genuinely just figure this might be a good idea. So, what exactly is the challenge? So, let me pull it up here. It's only 6 bullet points, but let me just pull it up here in case I uh, don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, that's not in my outline. Hang on. All right, so 75 hard is for 75 days straight, you do these 6 things. You read 10 pages. You do 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside, one has to be inside. You follow any kind of structured diet of your choosing, so long as it is one of those, popular diets, keto or intermittent fasting or whatever, or a paleo. You drink a gallon of water, you take a progress picture, and you do no alcohol. So I'll dissect the retardation in a moment there. By the way, I should stop saying that because I'm pretty sure YouTube is shadow banning me on that because some of the videos that I have that have like 100 views, those have like 3,000 impressions, and everything after that, I think I said retarded one too many times, and now at most I get like 700 impressions on my YouTube, and that's not really a product of it being bad. I know some seething, coping idiot is going to come here and be like, that's a cope. But I've gotten millions of impressions on my Twitter, so I know I say things that people are intrigued by. So they're definitely just like shadow banning me. So anyway, that's an aside though. So the earnest layer to it. Let's start there. So people hear this and they think, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool, because it has this tonality to it. Let me double check I recorded, by the way. Okay. I always got to double check. It has this sort of tonality to it that it's like really hardcore, and it's whoa, 2 workouts a day, not 1, 2. And 1 has to be outside. But what about the winter? And then, whoever's like promulgating this is supposed to be like, 1 of them outside, no exceptions, with the cool guy face on. That's I can't help myself. I like immediately have to make fun of this stuff. But what's the premise here? The premise is it's such a massive undertaking of discipline for most people that they think it is going to serve as sort of a jump start to discipline. So that's one of the promises here. And then the other standard stuff with discipline and everything like that. Mental clarity, your mind isn't so foggy from the alcohol. Your mind isn't so foggy from brain rotting on TikTok. You're brain rotting on, it's not supposed to be brain rotting on books, but it does become brain rotting on books. And I'll give you why that is in a second. And the overall, like the tough guy points thing. So it has that super tough undertone that people feel like doing this is going to make them tough, right? Even just the wording there, the vernacular, 75 hard. Kind of gay, by the way, actually. Really? It couldn't be 75 intense, whatever. So let me double check. I think that's everything to the challenge. All right, so now what actually happens? All right, so it's so funny because my army buddies, if you're watching this, we've come across dodo heads who've talked about 75 hard. They come storming into the hangar and they're like, I'm going to do 75 hard. And we always like bust their chops because it has this undertone to it. So firstly, and I mentioned this in my other video of how to tell bad fitness advice from good fitness advice. Well, actually, let's start here. The part that makes us laugh about it, or the part that kind of like is offensive in a way. Calling it 75 hard. What is so fucking hard about that? Like, seriously, stop and ask yourself what the fuck is so hard about that. You have to do the unbearable, god-awful, torturous thing of giving up fucking your precious little dopamine and fucking snackies for 75 days. This premise of, no alcohol. Like, that's the tough thing. That's actually the functioning, normal human being thing, is to be able to go 75 days without drinking. Really, the standard should be no drinking at all, not once in your entire life whatsoever, no exceptions, and ban alcohol, and 20-year sentence for people when they drink alcohol. Like, I'm not joking. Like, that is the political version of what I'm saying. But on an individual level, 75 hard. No out. Like, that's not fucking hard. 75 hard. That's my life. These things, these are daily things in my life that I don't even think twice about. And that's not to say, I'm cool, I'm tough, I can do that. You're fucking pussy for doing that challenge that's like easy work for me. I'm not just saying it's easy work for me. Like, that's the behavior of a normal, functioning, healthy person. A person who is just at least the slightest bit evolved past their fucking amygdala and can live without immediate fucking frying of their dopamine receptors and frying of their fucking brain cells on drug-like effects every wakeful moment of every wakeful day. So that's that part. So the part that I mentioned earlier, this is what I talked about in my video about how to tell bad fitness advice from good fitness advice. And that is that people do this fucking thing where anytime something is allegedly some sort of fitness challenge, they like lap it up, salivate at the opportunity to do it, especially with something like 75 hard, because like I said, we know people who came storming in and were like, I'm going to do 75 hard. Huh. Beat that, Marchese. Huh. Like with this smugness to them, because they think what they just did was discover an epically epic, genius, 5,000 IQ cheat code that in 75 days is going to get them to look like me or better. That's what that is. The other day on Twitter, I saw some guy, and he's like a gym bro. He looks good, but he's like, somebody was like, yeah, eating sugar is like the dumbest idea ever. And then he mogs them by showing a picture of himself, and he's like, that's cool. I'm going to keep eating sugar, as much as I want. Like, that's not a flex just because you look the part. Like, you're still just saying that you're like a drug addict. You're just being smug about it because you don't face any immediate consequences to it. But the consequence of it is how infected and warped and distorted your entire identity and spirit is by being that much of a fucking slave to it. So in this case, people do that thing where they think that the proposition of 75 hard, or any challenge for that matter is proposing that by the end of it, you're going to look like me or better, or one of these fucking huge, epically epic lean, deadlifting 500-600 for reps gym bros. And you're fucking not. You will not look like that in 75 days. 90% of you are never going to fucking look remotely close to that, ever. I know that's a shitty thing to say, but that's the fucking reality. Every time, whenever these people are like, I'm going to do 75, you know what would happen? In the hangar, they'd be like, I'm going to do 75 hard. I'd be like, no, you're not. They're like, but yes, I am, because it's this workout, and I'm going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to do it. Here's what's actually going to happen. First of all, even if you did the whole thing fully according to its expectations, you still wouldn't make any progress. And if you do exactly my workouts, or what I'll prescribe to you for 75 days, you're not going to, it's going to be a good change in 75 days, but it won't be, it'll be years before you have that idealized physique. So, one sec. So, what actually happens is for the first 2-3 days, the person reads the 10 pages, they do the outside and the inside workout, and then they don't drink, whatever. But after 2 or 3 days, what starts to happen? The 10 pages more becomes 5, and it becomes, 5 pages of some bullshit book, or they're going to be goofing off on their phone and they're going to be reading a bullshit brain rot article, and they're going to count that as the reading. The alcohol part, the no drinking alcohol part, they're going to interpret that conveniently as, well, that just means don't get belligerently drunk. So I'm still going to have a few beers in the evening. Come on, it's the freaking weekend. Ha, 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 duh. What am I going to do? Be one of those freaks who doesn't relax ever? Yeah, the only possible way to relax in any way, shape, or form ever is obviously to drink my precious fucking alcohol. So, take that, fucking Marchese methods. Beat that. That's the alcohol part. The exercise and the workouts are going to always instantaneously be fucked up, because the 45 minutes outside. So the outside, what does that kind of imply? That implies cardio. Now, cardio is not fucking hard. Cardio can be hard if you're doing sprints and getting your heart rate almost at your max heart rate all the time. But what do these people actually do? They jog. They'll jog, or they'll go for a walk. Definitely after the first few days, it winds up being a fucking walk. But in the first 2-3 days, it's a run and a little jog, and but jogging's not fucking hard. Even if you're really out of shape, jogging's not that fucking hard. So they do the jog. It barely burns any calories because it's fucking it's just movement exercise. And 45 minutes is a long time to do that for dodo heads. So instantaneously, they probably rationalize to themselves they're going to work their way up to the 45 minutes by doing 20 minutes at first or 22.5 minutes at first. And then with the inside workout, that's 45 minutes. Presumably that manifests as going to a gym. 45 minutes of fucking weightlifting. So chances are, using, or more accurately, just overall being in a gym and using gym equipment. What do we think people do with that? They do push, pull, legs, or more like push, rest, pull, rest, legs, rest, deload, power lifter circuit, bulk. That's how those workouts manifest. And there are always going to be some 10 rep fucking bullshit. 10 reps, by the way, is not, if the weight is such that you could do 10 reps, that's not that challenging. I talked about that in my other video. They're probably doing cables and like bullshit, like these types of exercises where it's like some sort of quirky motion that looks super intense, but it's fucking bullshit. And then they expect to get huge off of that. They expect that they're going to get totally fucking monstered up off of that. So the first problem with 75 hard is that it's susceptible to misinterpretation by people who think that 75 days are going to get this godlike physique. It's a problem in its premise, because the premise of it being that fucking hard to give up your precious dopamine, your precious fucking baby sippy feel good juice for 75 days is not actually hard. And to think that's hard reflects a misplaced value system where you're still having the fundamental problem of thinking everything is about feelsy goodsies, making yourself have feelsy goodsies, and excusing yourself from or avoiding the god-awful, unbearable discomfort of feelsy badsies. That premise, having that in your mind, sets you up to fail at this. You're not going to stick with this for 75 days. And if you do, what are you going to do on fucking day 76? Reward yourself with a beer? That's not the reward. The reward is not having a reward for 3 to 5 years, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of like, oh, I didn't realize it, but I'm fucking huge now. I don't know why the screen keeps going blank here. It keeps making me nervous. So that premise is and that premise sets you up to not really get what you're trying to get out of it. You're trying to get discipline. You're trying to get mental clarity out of it. But if you don't value those things in and of themselves, if getting those things in and of themselves isn't the reward, isn't the new feelsy goodsy, which you can do, you can just like think yourself into whatever opinion or feeling that you want. So if that's not the new feelsy goodsy, then you're failing. You're not going to get anything out of this. You're just gonna, do it, and then you're gonna cope and seethe and get mad at people like me because you still somehow want to believe that it was supposed to happen in 75 days. So if it didn't happen in 75 days for you, but you think it somehow did for me, then it must mean I'm a steroid cheater or something. And then you're just gonna cope and seethe and poop your pants for the rest of your life. So so the second part is that premise is fundamentally flawed in that it sets you up to fail anyway, because you're not actually having your eyes on the prize. You're not actually valuing discipline and strengthening yourself and working out in and of itself. You're just trying to get a cheap shortcut and your ego points and cool and tough guy points. And you're still valuing fucking pleasure and dopamine anyway. You still think that that's what life is about, which means that you're inevitably not going to keep this discipline thing up because you don't care about that. You care about your feelsy goodsies. So there was misinterpretation. Oh, okay, here we go. And then the other layer to it is the earnest the earnest hypothesis is that if you outsource making yourself get up just for the sake of getting up and going to the gym, if you outsource it to, well, my goal here is to complete the challenge, for some reason people think that's easier on their cognitive processes, on their mind. So because they think that's easier, they figure, well, if I do this 75 hard thing, if I do it that way, it's going to trigger or activate some sort of dormant discipline Python program in my mind. Whereas if I'm doing it for 75 days, after the 75 days, I'm not going to have to consciously think to go to the gym or not consciously make myself go, or, you know, even if I feel tired, the program's going to be running, so I'm still going to go, and I don't have to fight the being tired and something like that. And this is a little bit more of an earnest, good faith idea, but it's flawed because that's just not like a thing. That's not real. It's based on, you've probably read at some point that it takes like 21 days to form a habit and 3 months to break it or something like that. So you figure you'll solidify, you'll reinforce a habit by outsourcing your motivation to do it to something easier to motivate yourself with. And then once you do it, you're good, you're set, you're good for life. After the 75 days, your hand is going to go, you're going to go like this, and it's going to reach for the car handle, and then it's going to force you, no, but I'm so sleepy. And then you're going to, while you're asleep, your body is like running the Python program to make you drive to the gym and make you do the workout. Like, that's not real. I'm making fun of it, and it's an exaggeration, but the exaggeration elucidates kind of how silly that idea is. The antidote is, you got to fucking accept it. Like, there's no other answer. There will never, ever, ever be another fucking answer than to make yourself just go and do it. And that sounds like the lazy usual advice, like, oh, just do it. Oh, just go work out. But the premise there is that the discipline is not some sort of Python program in your brain. You have to make the choice in spite of how you feel every time. You are going to battle it. Does it get easier later? Yes, it gets easier later, but that's only because you've reassigned your value system. So those are the fundamental wrongdoings. And I have like a good quote here. This is really an example of people start doing these things like this because it's all to avoid really working out. Everyone everywhere is always doing these things where they're doing this, I call it nutrition neuroticism. I'll do a video on that. Where somehow everyone's more willing to become a fucking biochemist for years and years and years of their life to try, just to excuse working, just to figure out a more optimized way to work out. According to this biochemical thing that I spent 10 years of my life learning, you actually only have to do this type of exercise this time of day for 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes a week, and then you're going to be huge. I'm going to do the 75 hard challenge, and then that's it. Yes, I'm finally going to have the body I want, and girls are going to like me now. Yes, I'm going to get to have sex now. Yes. That's just never how it's going to fucking work. Discipline, you have no choice. Go to the gym, lift the weights, not for 45 minutes, not for an hour, not for an hour 15, not for an hour and a half, for 2 hours. Guaranteed you do not have some sort of project, some sort of important project going on that's a reasonable thing to take time away from working out for. And even then, that's always a cope anyway. I do this, I write, I do this, I do what I got to do, and I still hit the gym for 2 hours a day. Hour and a half, 2 hours a day. I know I just said hour and a half minimum, or hour and a half's not enough. That's not enough for you because you're going to take that and run away with it and turn it into a cope. It's enough for me because I can actually do that and not let it become a cope. But for you, there is no other answer. There's no 75 hard. This is 75 hard. All of those behaviors listed, no drinking, work out, read, do this. That's just how you exist as a basic functioning person. That's not like you know, the end all be all. That's not like you made it now and you get to be a tough guy, because it's certainly, you don't even come close to that. You have no choice but to get to the gym. You could seriously sit there and not feel like it and be tired, and you could just go. And you can just start working out. And even if you're tired, you could just keep doing that. Like, you can just override. You have total agency, total control over yourself. Everything you do, you are gifted with a soul. You're gifted with a frontal lobe that can tell almost everything else in your brain to fuck off. Except for like breathing and your heart beating and whatever. So the habit part 2, the fake discipline habit part 2, that Python program doesn't exist, and one of the reasons it doesn't exist is because the strength of habit is never going to compare to the strength of your fucking amygdala. There are plenty of people who had a habit of working out, and like, if they didn't go for a day, kapoof, it's all gone. Years later, they're like fat or whatever. The strength of habit, even if it were a Python program, would be nothing compared to the strength of your lizard brain drives to fuck off, to chronically fucking jerk off, to dopamine max, to optimize every last little bit of energy put out. So you can't rely on that. The only thing that's going to be stronger than that is your soul, your identity, your value system. So, okay. So that was that part there, a combination of a couple of things. So let's go over to the way that 75 Hard presents itself. Let me check my time here. Okay, 20-something minutes. 75 Hard has this layer to it too of kind of like people just lap up the dopamine hit they get from something being presented as a little baby game. What's going on, guys? It's Marchese Methods here. I challenge you to try the 75 Hard challenge. All right, guys, check it out. Step 1, no alcohol. That's right, you heard me, no alcohol. Step 2. Do you see how this like TikTok brain rot, fucking YouTube content creator, fitfluencer shit just totally fucking is slop, just being slop put at the fucking trough for you, and you're just sticking your fucking pig snout in it and just lapping it up. That's that's how people normies get sucked right into some fucking slop bullshit fitfluencer challenge like this. And some people might think, what the Sigma? What the Sigma's wrong with that? And because, you know, according to their fucking like psychologytoday.com article, or according to fucking their Barnes and Noble how to hack your brain fucking book, if you make things a game, did you know that if you actually just make your learning a game, you'll learn more by 20% because your brain thinks it's a game now, so it's fun, so then you get to learn? Yeah, no, actually, that's a crock of shit. And you might say, the data. Okay, then do your little game and see if it gets you fucking big. It doesn't. Because for serious things, this little baby gamifying thing doesn't work. Because the fundamental nature and structure of serious things is not a fucking game. And there's another layer to this too, and this is like a little bit of the psychology of people playing these games of avoiding discomforts and stuff with their lizard brain. Doing this baby gamifying shit and making it like a little fun little Instagram challenge that you bookmark or that you post on your story, and you post on your story every day. What's up, guys? I'm doing the 75 Hard challenge. And then, on day 5, there's already like a, hey guys, so I didn't do it today, but that's because, and blah, blah, blah. And then insert some diatribe about like not shaming yourself too much. Funny aside with that, there's somebody I knew. She was like, not necessarily a fitfluencer, but she was like an avid fitness poster, I guess you could say. And like every post was like, hey guys, I didn't go to the gym today, but that's okay. Sometimes it's an important thing to give yourself a rest and give yourself a mental break. If a mental health break, because if you don't go and then you shame yourself, or if you go too much because you're shaming yourself, then that's not a good thing, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's every post. So it's like, when do you go to the gym at that point? How much fucking rest do you need? How much are you shaming yourself, into going? If your primary drive for going was shame like that, that's also going to make you just not go. And then, of course, taking to online in this climate of, nobody can be ashamed of anything, anytime, anywhere of themselves. And mind you, I am cautious of shame. Shame is a powerful weapon. Shame is kind of like, how the lore with Star Wars is only Jedi Masters can go into like the certain portion of the library because it's like dark side of the Force books. And they're, as Jedi Masters, they are trusted to be able to like navigate a little bit of the dark side of the Force. So, they have access, but nobody else does because they're not Jedi. So that's kind of like how I view shame in that funny way. So I am conscious of what a danger it can be, but let's not fucking cope and use that as an excuse to just never show up and never do anything because, I don't want to put pressure on myself, and, I don't want to be ashamed of myself. Like, okay. Like, look, I'd rather the problem be ashamed of myself and going to the gym 6-7 times a week and going to the gym a little bit too much than not going to the gym enough. Which one's a worse problem to have? Okay. Furthermore, you might argue, well, that's going to make you your muscles atrophy and blah, blah, blah. No, they fucking won't. It takes a lot for you to, like, you have to be exercising quite a lot for it to actually really, truly be counterproductive. Anytime somebody says it's counterproductive, is just using that as a bullshit cope. Exercising too much is counterproductive. You should really make so that you work out 1 to 2 times a week and do 20 minutes of cardio. Otherwise, you're working out too much? Give me a fucking break. All right, so anyway. All that's to say that when you make it this game and this fitfluence bullshit, here's the pathology it affords people. So now that it's a game, it takes quite a lot of pressure off to win or to complete the challenge. Now that it's a fun little Instagram challenge to try it out, see if you like it. See if you like it. Hey, I'm going to do 75 hard. I'll give that a try. That's a fun little challenge for myself. Now that it's that, instead of, I'm out of shape. I don't control myself. My life's miserable. I'm brain fogged. I'm pigging out. I'm ashamed of myself. I know it's wrong. I know I could be better. I'm going to start with 75 days of not fucking around. That's a lot more pressureful and a lot harder to break from or to lose track on than, hey guys, Sarah.fitness said to try this cute little fun little workout, this at-home workout. So I'm going to try that. Because now, if you fail that, it's not, I can't believe I did this to myself. It's, oh yeah, I tried that little game, but the kids and, I don't really have time for that stuff. I wish I was young again, right? Well, I was going to do that, but then the wife said I better get to bed. So I said, okay, honey. So, fun game. Maybe I'll try it next time. Hey, by the way, maybe we could try that next time. Now, it's much easier for people to do that. And it's much easier for them to fuck off 3 to 5 days in. Not only are they not conscious of that, they're not conscious of mitigating the risk of the guilt and the shame that comes with it, but an even deeper layer is that they intentionally, unconsciously set themselves up to be this way so that they are excused from doing it because they didn't want to do it anyway. They wanted to make it easier to quit because they wanted to quit anyway, because they didn't want to do it, because the god fucking awful, unbearable discomfort of going a few days without a precious fucking sippy feel-good drink, and going a few days without our precious fucking ice cream, and going a few days without our precious fucking sleeping in and naps, and going a few days bearing the absolute hellscape sentence of going to the dumbbell fucking purgatory. So that's really the fundamental, that's a fundamental psychoanalysis of all these intricacies playing in the mind, the ego and the superego and the id. I've talked about that a little bit. That's an example of real psychoanalytic behavior of people warping themselves and their behavior unconsciously in such a way to avoid discomfort, to avoid displeasure, and to ascertain more pleasure and more comfort. All the while affording themselves that's actually exactly what this is. The superego, weapon of choice is the guilt. So the id battles that by playing this game of making it a game, so that the superego's weapon is thwarted, is checked. So the id meets its wants and needs and thwarts the superego from combating that. So those are the three fundamental problems of the appeal of 75 Hard. The misinterpretation, thinking you're going to get fucking huge after 75 days. The baby gamifying it. Gamifying it affords you a much easier time of excusing yourself from doing it, and affords you no superego-induced guilt from quitting it because you wanted to quit it anyway and you knew you were going to quit it anyway. And then there was that third part I said, which was the discipline, the presuppose low IQ moment, presupposition that there's some sort of Python program waiting to be activated in terms of discipline in 75 days. So those are those fundamental problems to it. Let's see. Let's double check. And I also talked about how lapping up the slop gets you that dopamine hit, but it's fundamentally a flawed motive. I got the cat here. I didn't know the cat was in here. Now she's eyeballing me. She wants to jump up. Not going to let her do it. Still going to do it anyway. Here, ready? Here we go. Her big pawsies. These are little rubber nubs to keep her from scratching, by the way. Makes me think of a caramel dancing video. Okay. So, lapping up these slop challenges. Okay. Let me see. Dude, go away. Lapping up these slop challenges and letting yourself get seduced into it and being a little piggy, sticking your little snout in the trough of the slop, which is betrays the idea of operating on not getting dopamine spikes, operating on valuing something other than pleasure and comfort and that sort of thing. So, losing my trains of thought here. All right. So then another layer to this is that it attracts particularly men, right? Because men get into this stuff. They get into the discipline because something innate in them tells them that, every layer to their masculinity tells them it starts with discipline and self-control. And it starts with that. But here's another layer to the lizard brain, which is the work it takes to actually be tough and be cool and be a guy who's disciplined and be somebody who doesn't drink alcohol and all of that. Well, your baby little lizard brain doesn't like that, giving all of that up. But your baby lizard brain also wants you to have the image of being a tough guy, because then you get your precious fucking girl attention. And getting that image of being a tough guy will afford you the social praise and the dopamine hit from that in your mammal brain. And being a tough guy, or getting the image of being a tough guy and then getting the praise for it, enables you to have this bruh. I was never a cat person, by the way. I was always a dog person. And I actually was always allergic, but I just sucked it up buttercup, and then the allergies just went away after like 6 months. So that was it's kind of a funny bit. So that's how you know science is fake and made up anyway. And medical field is totally entirely fake and made up anyway. Okay, so the tough guy element to it is, this is a game a lot of people play where their little lizard brain figures, I want the praise and the external validation of the image, but I don't want to do what it takes to produce that image. So I'm going to, instead of being a tough guy and then letting the results of that speak for itself, letting that produce the image, because if you're just a tough guy, like, people are going to pick up on it, or you're going to feel tough because you know that what you're doing every day is disciplined and correct. You're going to have that confidence. But that takes a lot of work, and that takes our baby little lizard brain off of the precious dopamine it'll get from alcohol and all of that. So it elects to portray an image instead, which is much easier to project an image. So this 75 hard thing, the fact that it's 75 hard, like the emoji, I've joked about this before, the emoji with like the 75 hard, no alcohol, right? So it seduces people because it has this popularity to it, and it has this imagery to it of, you do this, you're like, whoa, you're like hardcore, you're pretty intense, you're like Jocko Willink, you're like serious. All for just the price of 75 days and half-ass bullshit fucking workouts and half-ass bullshit not drinking, but they really just take that as not getting drunk. And then after the 75 days, you're done. You get your little tough guy graduate certificate. You get your baccalaureate degree in tough guyness, in tough guy studies. And you get to be a tough guy, and you get to keep that little certificate with you forever. So people do that for that end praise that their lizard and mammal brain wants to, but there's a fundamental problem with that, which is just like the classic problem of bullying and the classic problem of producing an image, in that you are not self-assured. You're relying on external assurance and praise to try to generate self-assured, but you know that you're putting on an act, so you know that the assurance for the act you're putting on is not assurance for yourself. So you know it's not real. You don't feel like it's real. And you betrayed yourself, most importantly. By trying to conjure up a little masquerade, a little act, you betrayed yourself. You didn't give to yourself what you want and need to feel better about yourself, to be confident, to do what's right for your later goals. Everyone thinks you did the tough guy 75 hard challenge, but you know you fucked off. And you didn't do right by yourself. And it's weird to think about how yourself in a dialectic way, or a diametric way, but that is what it is. You have a relationship to yourself, and you're treating yourself poorly. You're putting on an act to yourself. You are lying to yourself. So the external validation is not going to work anyway, because it's not an approval of you and anything you actually did, and you're still not approving of yourself. Other people approving of you is not going to imply you'll approve of you, because you know that you fucked off. You know you did the wrong thing. In the words of one of my mentors, the only way to build confidence is to keep your promises to yourself. And if your promise to yourself was to quit fucking off and go to the gym, you don't keep that promise to yourself, you're still going to hate yourself. You're still not going to be confident. And a keen, socially apt, I think it's not, because there's inept, so I don't know if it's apt or adept, a socially inclined, a socially skilled person with a keen sense for these things is going to pick up on your act. And when you're putting on your act, the minute you're in the presence of somebody who doesn't put on an act and is actually, big or whatever, or is actually puts up weight or actually goes every day, you're going to fucking lose your mind. You are going to cope and seethe and poop your fucking pants. And your entire little act gets completely annihilated the second that other person walks into the room. So is that really what you want for yourself? And this is all a part. This is an example of how all of these challenges work. The psychodynamic structure of like all these types of challenges. Keto diet, right? I'll do a video on keto diet specifically, right? But like keto, don't eat carbs. So how do people take that? They just take that as an excuse to pig out on beef and fat, and they just abuse that excuse and then cope and seethe and poop their pants when they didn't lose 40 pounds or whatever. So the tough guy act, the tough guy points, never going to make you happy, never going to be satisfactory. If you actually do tough guy stuff, and if you actually do, and mind you, don't take this and proceed to shame yourself into oblivion. This doesn't mean work out 9 hours a day and go to the gym, 17 hours a day and don't eat anything and sleep on the ceiling and 3-hour ice baths or whatever. Like, don't think it means that. It just means you have to nudge yourself a little bit farther, and you can do a little bit better. Just nudge yourself into at least some discomfort. The format of that for the gym is to keep working. Like, you're not done when you're tired. When you're tired, that means you're going to do a couple more exercises. Your arms are gassed. Oh, your arms are burning so much, but you've only been there for 20 minutes. Or they're burning so much, but you kind of shake it off and then you go again. That's like the real keeping your promise to yourself, doing the tough guy things. Don't take this and run away with it and turn that into like you're shaming yourself into oblivion, and you then decide to go do some tough guy oil rigging job or something that's like 16 hours a day, and some asshole boss is like yelling at you all in the name of like emotional resilience and tough guy stuff. Like, don't do that. Don't take it and run with it. Don't shame yourself into oblivion, but don't excuse yourself into oblivion either. All right. So we've got the fundamental problems to it. So let's just get into, I mentioned earlier, let's just go over the tasks at hand in and of themselves. Let's see how much time we got. This one might be a while. Sheesh. All right, I'll try to be a little faster. So the 75, easy. Okay, first of all, read 10 pages. That's not fucking hard. If that's hard, your brain is seriously TikTok fucking completely rotted. And you need to start reading like, you need to just like straight up like really have a detox and really read. Furthermore, in these challenges, what form does the reading usually take? It's usually, if you're one of these people into 75 hard and into like self-help and stuff, the books are likely going to be from the Barnes & Noble self-help section. Now, granted, I used to do that. Some people who know me, have known me for years, certainly can recall the times that I used to post like that, and I was in the reading bro phase. The difference is I got out of it, because at some point I seriously was like reading another one, and I was just like, all right, dude, all these books say the same fucking bullshit. And really, it isn't like a high reading level. It's not really going to challenge your reading ability. It's not going to challenge your brain much. Those self-help books, you need to read maybe like at most like 5. And they're always small. They're like 100 pages, so this is all like not really sophisticated, aristocratic intellect type stuff. So reading 10 pages, look, you got to get past that, and you got to get past the self-help books, and you got to read something a little bit more serious and sophisticated. That's the whole point of it, is to challenge your reading ability and challenge your reading comprehension. All right, the 45-minute workouts, we talked about that. 45 minutes of half-assed fucking bullshit cardio that really devolves into 20 minutes, and the 45 minutes of half-assed bullshit fucking weights. That's some gay and retarded push-pull legs, rest fucking routine. And you do, on those upper days or whatever, on those push days, you do 1 chest exercise, you do 1 shoulder exercise, and then you do 1 tricep exercise, and then you're done. Not a single one of those muscles is going to develop that much, because you're doing 1 fucking exercise for all of them, like once a week. Not gonna cut it. Never gonna fucking cut it. Get to the gym and get serious about your weightlifting. I even have, if you check it out on the Twitter article, I posted a picture of this Jess Molly Bell character on Instagram, and sure enough, I can literally, I know everything. Like, I foresee all of these things. I'm always correct on these things. Sure enough, I was browsing. I was like, I wonder if I could find somebody being stupid about this online. And sure enough, literally what it says is 2 45-minute workouts a day, parentheses, this can be 90 minutes of overall movement, e.g. walking, workout, etc. must be outside. So fat fucking sheep pussy normies, how do you think they're going to take that? They're going to take that, and they're going to ignore every part of that except for the 90 minutes overall movement. They're going to take that as a walk, and then I bet even then they're going to tell themselves, well, I walked in the office today for 90 minutes, so that counts. So that's the workouts part to it. The structured diet. So here's a good one. These diets. What is so fucking hard about that? You're just eating. You're just not fucking being indulgent. And, a lot of times, like, relatively, like, what people call healthy foods, like, really are not unpleasant. Like, what people think, like, stuff like beef is unhealthy because, it's fat. It's got fat in it. What's unhealthy about it is how genetically, whatever, all that type of stuff. I'll dive the biochemical properties of fucked up meat from our fucked up society and all that, but I'll get into that another time. But really, that's putting the cart before the horse for you. So, like, really all you need to do is just, like, eat normally. But they always want to make it another gimmick, another dopamine frying gimmick with the diet. And that manifests as these bullshit diets that, number one, you're going to skimp out on. Number two, half of them are just copes anyway. Keto's a fucking cope. Keto's just an excuse to be an indulgent pig. And so on and so forth. And that's another, one more point about the diets too, is often at best, you're going to, like, drop 5 to 10 pounds, because most of the time when people do these diets, they're not actually working out. So not much changes, because the primary part, and a lot of retards in fitness go, fitness is 80% food, 20% workout. No, it's not. It's only 80% food if you're only giving 20% on your workouts. Plus, that's just the Pareto principle from fucking economics. So they just make that shit up. So really, your primary thing needs to be the exercise. So these diets manifest at best as like 5 to 10 pounds off without exercise, and then people cope and seethe and poop their pants about it. At best, you'll be slightly less fat. Okay, and then drink a gallon of water. What is so hard about that? I have a water bottle right here with me all the time. That's not hard. Just drink it. What's so hard about that? Reaching for water instead of your sippy shuggy drink? Seriously, like, just grow up at that point. Not fucking hard. Progress picture, not hard. Just go in front of the mirror, take the picture. Although, to be fair, people probably are not thinking of this as hard. It's just part of the challenge just to see how you do, whatever. Fine. And then the alcohol. Really? 75 days without alcohol, is that torturous and that difficult for you? You have a problem then. Any amount of drinking is a problem, by the way. I'm going to dive into this in another time a little bit more deeply, but knock it the fuck off with the bullshit with the fucking alcohol and the excuses with that. There's no reason to drink that other than your bullshit feelsy goodsy juice, your bullshit fake confidence with it, your bullshit parties to reconcile your fucking issues with the opposite sex, your bullshit in trying to get drunk to talk to the opposite sex and have your feelsy goodsy sexy. And all of that, every time you drink, ask yourself, why am I doing this? It's always like a pathology. It does not manifest as anything other than a fucking pathology. So you need to grow up and get past that. And you just need to grow up about it overall. That's what fucking college kids do. Drink their drinkies and go to parties. And even though, oh, well, I just like a beer with this to relax, go for a fucking walk if you want to relax. Like, this is not hard. This is not hard at all. This is my life. Like, and not saying, oh, I can do that fairly easy. Like, that is just my life just because I don't fucking care about those things. It's fairly easy to not do those things when you don't think these things are important. When you see that there's more to life, when you see that life is about finding a fulfillment, getting your eyes on the fucking prize, doing extraordinary things with your life. You know, everyone thinks, right? Everyone thinks to themselves at some point they want to do YouTube or whatever. That's like the Gen Y, Gen Z, you know, I'm making it out of the hood, right? Everyone thinks to themselves they're going to do it. How many people actually even fucking start? How many people of that, those many people, how many people continue? Right? And I like for example with it, like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, just find a way to do it, even if it doesn't get you famous or whatever. Just find a way to fucking do it. It's such a breath of fresh air to yourself to just do things that are creating something and manufacturing something that might be of value, might not. Much better than consuming fucking alcohol. Right? Let me zoom out. I have drop downs here, so let me just keep myself. So, you know, it begs the question, why am I able to see that this is not hard at all, but normies are not? We mentioned it earlier. It's because they have this fundamentally wrong, flawed thinking and value system that pleasure and comfort and the avoidance of displeasure and discomfort are the fundamental, that's the fundamental goal of life. That is the end goal of life. If you could get rich or whatever and never have to work again, the displeasure of working, the displeasure of rejection, the displeasure of going to the gym, if you could somehow just get all of those things without the discomfort and displeasure, and then just constantly feel good, be in a perpetual state of fucking chronically, you know, fucking masturbating every second of every day, that's your lizard brain telling you that that's that you made it then. Now that has a function of survival elements to it, but we're past that. We're post-industrial. we're technological and all of that. We have to like shut down that fucking survival instinct part of our brain. The end goal of life is not just optimized pleasure and displeasure and optimized energy. The end goal of life is to do something extraordinary. And that doesn't mean you have to be the richest person in the world or something. That just means take what's deep within your soul, take what's deep within yourself, things that you want to do, things that you want to manufacture, things that you want to work on. That's not necessarily work, not even necessarily projects. Take those things and just take action on them. And that includes, and I talked about this last time in the Pleasure Does Not Equal Happiness video and article, that doesn't always have to manifest as building your career. That just has to manifest as having more to do and trying things and doing more things. Now, don't fucking turn that into a cope and like, oh, I'm going to try this gay bullshit. I'm going to twavel. Like, no, that's gay. And I'll go into that in another video. It just means, like, solve the fucking, like, for example, the gym stuff. Every person on this earth has the gym question on their mind. All day, every day. It's like the ground zero of, like, discipline, building yourself, because it's the most direct conflict with your lizard brain, because it's the energy. It's a direct conflict with the instinct to optimize energy. But it's highly rewarding, because what do you get when you got this sexed up body? You get the attention, you get the respect, you get a whole bunch of things outside of the sexual dynamics. You get the respect, you get people, you know, listening to you, you get all that stuff, you get jobs, whatever. So the question of that is on everybody's mind, not only just for those consequences, but also as a fundamental tenet to the soul of having that treatment of yourself, that respect and love for yourself to do those things for yourself, and valuing them in and of themselves, valuing that going to the gym is a direct way to train and to make yourself controlled, a way to assert power over yourself. One of my other videos, my buddy quoted me, you might have seen on my Instagram, you know, take control of yourself so that nobody else can take control of you. That was my ground zero. My ground zero is angel on the shoulder, devil on the other. I want the angel to win, because that is correct. Going to the gym is correct. So when life isn't about this pleasure matrix. It's about doing what's correct, doing what's a respect for yourself, doing what is moral and righteous insofar as it is absent this pleasure matrix. All right. So, all right, I have more written here, but we kind of already talked about it. Just to trace back on the note on the behavior. This is like, just look at the difference between somebody who can't do 75 days straight, drinks, doesn't work out, doesn't read, and somebody who does do those things. What do you picture? You picture like trash. The person who couldn't pull off, not to say that everyone who can't pull it off is trash, but you do picture somebody who doesn't really have anything together. Now, the person who does, they have things together, but is that like all it takes to become like your fullest form? Is that all it takes to make to reach your greatest heights and do the most extraordinary thing you can do with your life? Obviously not. So this idea that it's hard in the first place is fundamentally flawed in valuing a pleasure system. It's fundamentally flawed in thinking that this is like extraordinary person behavior, exceptional people behavior. And further, it's flawed if you start, well, it's fine by me as long as I could do that, as long as I'm just trucking along with my job and all of that. That gets back to, what is that really what's on your mind? Every person all the time has on their minds, how do I get the muscle? How do I get the money or whatever? And that's not to say it's in a superficial way, but that is to say, just quit pretending like you don't have more you want to do. just to avoid the slight discomfort. So it's baseline elementary behavior. And if you are the type of person who's struggling, so this is the thing, right, too. If 75 hard is a level up for you, like, by all means, there's no shame in that. You should do that. It's just that when you zoom out and, take your own feelings out of it and all of that, if you zoom out, you'll see that, yeah, 75 hard is baseline functioning behavior. So people who try to take credit for it being hard, you're just fucking trying to excuse yourself from doing more, trying to get your little graduate certificate so that you could bully everybody with your tough guy act, but without being tough, but not actually being somebody who really is exceptional. Now, if you are, like, really struggling and all that, by all means, it is a step towards exceptionalism to do 75 hard and then turn that into, like, everyday hard. Pause, bruh. Hey, bruh, pause. By all means, certainly do it. Certainly do that. Like, if you can't do, like, if this is a challenge for you, do this. Just don't abuse it as a cope excuse to not continue it and as to get your little baccalaureate degree to bully everyone else and, hold your head up high as a part of the nobility, the upper echelon of society, because it's fucking not behavior. It is, like, the most baseline behavior of a functioning person. So does that mean it is things that exceptional people do? Sure, but it's not the differentiator between exceptional people and normal people. How about that, huh? I'm speaking pretty well on this one. So that's the part about the behavior. So we talked about the act a little bit already. It really just is as simple as you can't fool yourself. You could play your act, you could get your praise from everybody, but you can't fool yourself. If you're dissatisfied with your physique or whatever. That you didn't show up to the gym. That you're not doing more than, like, a basic functional person. And that you're not really working in such a way that it's going to produce the results that you want. So quit the act and quit trying to get tough guy points without actually being tough and doing something tough. There's all different versions of this. We're going to go over the beard bros, the fucking beer and boobs masculinity. All that shit's an act. You're not, and that doesn't mean, get your leg cut off in the name of, like, emotional resilience. That just means you have your eyes on the prize. That's the real tough guy thing. That's the real masculine thing. That's the real, even in the, for women too. I don't anticipate many women are going to be watching this, but even for women, that's the real, like, fulfillment thing for them, for everybody. Do the things you need to do to get what you want. And don't casually redefine what you want as a bullshit cope excuse. Don't say, don't try to bullshit yourself into thinking, oh, well, I just want to have a flat stomach. No, you don't. You want to get big and strong. You want to have a physique that people fucking, throw you, in some cases throw you dirty looks. In some cases, people throw you good looks. And not for those consequences, but because it is a reflection of you behaving the way that you want to, which is controlling yourself, which is disciplining yourself, which is doing what's right, which is challenging yourself, and what is a fundamental respect of yourself and your body and so on. So, all right, I think that's everything there. So it kind of got mixed around here on, the writing's going to look different than the speaking, but it should be that way, to be honest. And I might have mentioned something here that I forgot to mention in the writing, so that's good and everything. So, in short, just a little recap here. Okay, so 75 hard is not real discipline most cases, and most of the time gets abused as a cheap excuse to avoid deeper fulfillment. Fucking bullshit, dopamine, fucking gimmick, half-ass workouts, a fallacy of having this autopilot discipline, an exaltation, so to speak, of a elementary behavior, a pathology for approval, lizard brain pacifying, and like a credential for this like fake nobility stuff. So really, in a phrase, this is what eyes on the prize and finding your fulfillment really means. Cut the act, cut the theatrics, cut the justifications, the rationalizations, cut the lizard brain pacifying, and ask yourself, what is it that you want? Is what I'm doing right now working? What do I want? And I know that sounds like gay motivation speak and all that, but hopefully I elaborated it a little better instead of just giving you a lazy, like, oh, just do it or whatever. And redefine your value system if you have to. If you are so infatuated with your pleasure or whatever, find a way to get infatuated with discipline. Find a way to value that. Find a way to fundamentally respect yourself for doing those correct things, going to the gym, reading, whatever, no alcohol. Respect your body. Whatever sort of framework it takes, that's what you're going to have to do. And if you need just one line to remember and to think about it by, eyes on the prize and finding your fulfillment. So let me not go too much longer here. Hour 10, hour 11, not bad. So that's going to be this one for today. Friends and family, you got to like and subscribe. Even if you don't have a YouTube or a Twitter, make one, okay? I have a friend or two who has made one. Make one. Like everything I say. Retweet everything I say. Like every one of my YouTube videos. Leave a comment on every single one. I got to get famous here, okay? I got to get, social media famous so that I can just live stream and, lecture everybody on how to be tough and cool like me. Nah, that's just a joke. But definitely, if you're here from YouTube, check out my Twitter. If you're here from Twitter, check out my YouTube. Help me get the following on Twitter. Twitter might be the way to go because it's just a little bit easier to get some thoughts out every day and that stuff. That's where I will publish my articles. If you would like coaching, if you would like one-on-one, one-on-two, or one-on-three coaching, head on over to marchesemethods.com or email me. My email is on the website. And go from there. You can ask me just general questions. Don't worry about paying me or anything like that. If you have questions about how it works and all of that, and we could start a conversation that way. If you feel like your situation, although you watch my content and your situation still calls for some more nuanced one-on-one kind of therapeutic or psychodynamic in a way, that is originally my one of my biggest interests, and that's probably how I'll wind up. Actually, I'll probably wind up getting the credentials for that. So if you want that one-on-one time to really dive a little bit deeper into express what you need to express, to somebody who you think might help you with that problem, definitely hit the coaching buttons there. I think I'm going to be working a lot on my website a little bit more. I had some web designers. Not only am I going to redesign it, but I'm also going to introduce, I think perhaps like a subscription version of the program here, $5-10 a month or whatever to text me, or I'll build like a Discord, I guess, or something. Maybe not a Discord just because there's too much of a meme, but maybe they probably have a way for me to set it up as like through the website. I'll also probably wind up doing that on Twitter. Once you get monetized on Twitter, you could do subscriptions. So, alrighty. So like and subscribe, especially if you're friends and family. Help me get famous, and then I'll help you, okay? One-on-one coaching or one-on-two, one-on-three on marchesemethods.com. Marchese Methods on YouTube. Marchese Methods on Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in.